Nigeria, good evening. Welcome to State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I am Francis Aben. Tonight, we are talking about the big fight against illegal mining. It has plagued us for almost a decade, and it looks like there is a certain work to renew the fight, even as we continue to battle what is ravaging our farmlands and our water bodies. Tonight, we will introduce you to our guest for our conversation. It's the Big Alamsi conversation tonight here on State of Affairs. I'm Francis Aben. We're live on channel 361 on your DSTV. We're also live on Facebook. Look for us at GHOne Television. Later in the course of the program, we will share with you some of the key points made by the Sector Minister today as he updated the country on the works being done in addressing the matter of illegal mining from an enforcement perspective of our laws, and also the reforms that are being introduced legislatively and also administratively to tackle the problem. We will get into that conversation tonight for you. But may I remind you that the show is brought to you with the kinds of sponsorship of MTN. MTN is everywhere you go, and Cable is definitely our milk. If you need to make that urgent call, but realize that you don't have credit, or your very important conversation was cut short because you ran out of airtime, well, there's no need for all that stress, because on MTN, all you have to do is dial *506#, and then you get to borrow credits on MTN Extra Time. Now, the best part is that you can also borrow data by dialing the same number, *506#, and you can bundle data whenever you run out to continue browsing. As always, your conversation don't need to end. Borrow extra time now and enjoy the things you love on your favorite network, MTN. Also, from Cowbell tonight, if you're a parent watching us, you better listen up to this one. Milk is very important in the family's development, especially for adults and for children. Because milk provides essential nutrients that enhance healthy growth, Cowbell milk is fortified with a unique blend of essential vitamins called Vita-Rich. The vitamins in Vita-Rich are essential for good eyesight development, in fighting infections, building strong bones and teeth, and B9 for brain development. Help your loved ones support their growth with Cowbell milk, which contains Vita-Rich in their meals. Cowbell is also available in 5 delicious flavors and available in a shop near you. Cowbell is definitely our milk. So, as I said, tonight is a packed conversation. We're talking about the scourge of illegal mining. Galamsey, how far we've gone with the fight, where we go with this renewed fight, what are we doing right and what we are doing wrong, and then we'll tackle some of the big details shared by the Sector Minister today. Let me introduce my guest for tonight's conversation. Dr. Vladimir Ntwidanso is the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command College. He's joining us tonight. We'll also be joined by Dr. Ken Ashigbe, the convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, as well as Dr. Peter Chum. He's a lecturer at the School of Public Health at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. These will be our guests for our big conversation tonight. So, Dr. Vladimir Ntwidanso, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on State of Affairs. Doc, can you hear me? Good evening. Dr. Vladimir Ntwidanso, can you hear me? Good evening. Okay, it seems he cannot hear me, so we will try once more and see if we can patch through to him. He's joining us via Zoom tonight for our conversation on our fight against illegal mining, what we are getting right and what we're getting wrong. So, Vladimir Ntwidanso, Prof, good evening. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Doc, can you hear me? Good evening. Okay, so we'll go for a short break now. When we return, hopefully we'll be able to patch through to our guests who are joining us via Zoom for our conversation. Stay with us. GHOne TV, your best experience. GHOne TV, your best experience.
GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience. GH1 TV, your best experience.
Thanks for staying with us. We are watching State of Affairs here on GH1 Television. I am Franz Aban. Tonight we're talking about our fight against illegal mining as a country and whether we are approaching this fight with our best foot forward or there are some more work we have to do. As I said, we have a packed lineup of guests for our conversation tonight, all joining us via Zoom virtually for our conversations. Dr. Vladimir Chidanso is with us. He's the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command College. Good evening to you, Doc. Thank you for joining us. Doc, can you hear me? Good evening. Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, can you hear me? Good evening. Okay, we'll try one more time. Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, good evening. Thank you for joining us. Doc, can you hear me? Good evening to you. Okay, we're also joined via Zoom. We'll try and sort that out with Dr. Vladimir Chidanso. But Dr. Peter Twum is joining us. He's a lecturer at the School of Public Health at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Twum, good evening to you. But Dr. Twum, can you hear me? Good evening.
Good evening.
Great. Thank you for joining us
Good evening.
On State of Affairs.
Yeah, thank you also for inviting me.
Tonight we would look broadly at our fight thus far and whether or not with this renewed action that we're taking, we are on the right path. But in a nutshell, and for you and your background on public health, when you look closely at the devastating impact of illegal mining on our farmlands and our water bodies, what's your general assessment on where we are now?
Thank you once again. And let me greet your cherished viewers this evening. The first thing I will talk about is concerning the fight. Who is fighting who at this moment? Looking at the historical antecedents of the issue of Galamsey in Ghana, it has run through the various governments. So now who is fighting who? For me, I think the fight should take different dimension. And the dimension that the fight need to take is where the citizenry and then the social organization and civil societies, the academia should rather rise up against the government, taking some form of positive action against the government, because in the previous administration they were paying some lip services that they are fighting Galamsey. But if you look critically at the issues, these two parties are all benefiting, and when they are in opposition, they tend to put on the conflict spectacles on and then try to undermine the ruling government. And when the table changes, the same thing, eventually these two groups are benefiting by destroying our environment. Remember, the country belongs to the citizens of Ghana. And therefore, if we should sit down, looking at these two political parties changing powers here and there and take undue advantage of our environment, eventually they use the same money to go and sort of give it to the local people to vote them back to power. I think the fight should take that dimension where the citizens should rather stand up and fight against the government. For instance, the civil society, the academia, or almost every aspect of the country, we can decide not to work, just to put pressure on the government, just like how the positive action was declared one time in the history of Ghana, to force the government to do the needful, to actually take into action all the available legal instruments that is available to the government to make sure that this menace stop once and for all, because at the end of the day, it is the citizens, people who are living in the rural areas. Go to my village, Minahini, Chichuele, and those places. All the forests there are gone. And when you go there, you will not find anybody, but rather political party leaders who are in the forest mining. And they are there with soldiers who are the Odikro and co to go and question them. And even when they come there with their documents that they have been given licenses, who is the Odikro to go and demand for the copy of that license and read? They can't do that. So I think the citizens should rather rise up and fight against the government, because it is the government who are doing the mining, not those local people. What equipment do
no,
they
I
have?
see, Dr. Chum, when you say that the government is engaging in the illegal mining, what proof do you have of that? Because in this fight, we've seen persons, yes, you may talk about persons who are alleged to be politically exposed, engaged in these acts, but when you say government, that's the state machinery. That's not the agency that's engaging in illegal mining, is it?
But let me tell you, Abba, there is this local saying in tree that if the person who is actually causing your sickness end up taking you around seeking for cure for you, where are you going to get the cure? The person who is causing the havoc to you is the same person who says, I'm sending you to either traditional medicinal practitioner or something so that you can get some cure for you. Meanwhile, it is the same person who is causing your predicament. And that is how, because the individuals in especially in the rural community, how many of them can buy an excavator? Do they even know where it is manufactured? Can they import them? They can't. You get it? That is why I'm saying that looking at the politically exposed people, maybe we cannot mention name, those politically exposed people who are locally known to play sensitive roles in the government, whether the sitting one or the previous ones, they are spearheading the whole activities in these rural settings. And once they are part of the government, why can't we point our fingers at the government? Because eventually they may benefit from this, especially when it is time for political campaign, when they are campaigning for power. These are the people who are the political parties. So if they are the people who are known to be part of those political parties are in the rural areas mining left, front, and center, why can't we point our fingers at the government? That is why I am advocating that it is time we stop relying on the government, because current and the previous government, they told us they were taking actions to stop this menace. But what are we seeing now? It is rather moving forward. The situation is getting worse as the day passes. And therefore, I think the citizen, the civil society, the academia, the working group in Ghana, all of us need to rise up and let the government know that it is enough. And if the government fails to use the legal instrument available to it to stop this menace once and for all, then the citizens in Ghana should rather actually show our teeth to the government to actually express our displeasure, because they cannot take us for granted for such a long period. And now they are actually, the situation is getting worse, and it is going to affect us health-wise in coming years.
Okay, so let's talk about the public health implications, since that's your area of specialty. Since the fight began, we've seen a destruction of farmland and also of water bodies. Specific to these areas where the devastation is ongoing, what are the short, medium, and long-term impacts of this illegal mining on our public health?
Thank you very much. Our health, especially if you study something about rural settings, one characteristic of every rural area is that they live close to nature. That means that they depend on the environment for their survival, for their food, for their medicine, and for their livelihood. And therefore, if the environment is destroyed, it means their entire livelihood is gone, even cultural wise. So our water bodies, we are advocating that people should be taking enough water so that they can live healthy and contribute economically to the development of the country. And if we are destroying that same water, how are we going to survive? The trees are actually linked to our health, and there is the saying that the day the last tree will die, it means the last person on earth should also die. And if we are cutting all these trees, it means we are cutting away our life. Let's come to the chemicals that are also used. And remember, we are planting, and those chemicals are also in the soil, in the water, and therefore when we plant, these chemicals are going to affect our crops when we eat them, and that one can give us different kinds of infection diseases that nobody can now think of. So in the short term, we are going to lose our water, which is going to affect our health. Our trees are being cut left and right, and that one is going to even affect the rainfall pattern, and it will affect food production in the near future. So we can go on, and you can see that as for the health aspect, it's so serious. If nothing is done now, a day will come, maybe all of us will be affected. You may be staying. Remember, we are dealing with the environment. We are dealing with water body that deals with systems, and if you destroy one system, it can use another way and then still take it away, and wherever you can have the effect.
Okay, Dr. Chum, please hold on for me now. Let me now introduce Dr. Ken Ashigbe. He's the convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. Dr. Ashigbe, good evening to you. Thank you for joining us here on State of Affairs.
Thank you very much. And thanks for having me.
So we are looking at what some have called the renewed fight against illegal mining. It tapered off for quite a bit, but now there seems to be some new energy towards it. We've seen talks of a new licensing regime that's ongoing. We've seen some major arrests that have been done. We've seen some revelatory investigative work that's also been done by our colleagues in the media as well. Before we talk specifics, generally, do you see us back on track in our fight against illegal mining?
Well, I think that, Francis, thank you very much. I think that it is good that the media has come back again and has taken the fight. And so you see that even in 2017, when we started this, it was the media deciding that enough was enough, and then deciding to take the fight to first our leaders and then to those who are involved in the illegality. And it's the same thing that has happened again, with GHOne's rearrest, and then with the work done by Erastus, bringing some investigative work to the fore. The media has all come into this. And the interesting thing is also the fact that before then, media started reporting some of the ills, that this galamsey was occasioning. And, our turbidity of water is at the all-time high as we speak. We saw the doctors in Pofanoche reporting that they were seeing,
babies who are deformed, yes.
Kidney diseases, the stillbirths that are being reported, the deformed babies that are being reported. We know the situation of Cote d'Ivoire, also complaining about the fact that Abia is polluting their water bodies. Ghana Water has always been talking about what we're doing might result in we having to import water in the coming years. And then we also have the situation where now even your cocoa, when you're sending your cocoa out of this country to Japan, for example, rigorous tests that you need to go through, and you have the EU and all of that also, beginning to complain about the heavy metals that they found in our cocoa and all of that. And I heard talking about the challenges, that we're facing with the fact that when these heavy metals that are being used get into the soil, the vegetation also picks them up and might end up in our food, or would end up in the fish that are in these rivers as well. And so, yes, there's a renewed fight, but unfortunately, we are in a crisis and we are in a state of an emergency. And I think that the only thing that is left is for the government to declare the state of emergency in pockets of districts where, this situation is really rather alarming.
Now, we're looking at quite a myriad of actions being taken by government at the moment. Today, the sector minister, among many things, indicated 3 very important actions that are being taken. The new licensing regime, which will now have the chief, the DCE, and the regional minister all playing a very cardinal role in the sign-off for all licenses that will be issued in mining communities. Let's look at that first. Is that a step in the right direction, and does that to a large extent solve the problem of the involvement or leadership challenge we've seen at the local level relative to illegal mining?
Well, I think that, it's just introducing another layer that should enhance transparency, so that, because we've had situations where a chief will be sitting down and somebody brings, a lease that is supposed to really be mining where his house is, so I think the layers definitely would help, and especially the involvement of the local communities in the issuance of permits and in their awareness of what it is. Because you see, some of the challenges that you face is the fact that somebody would have a lease, and if he brings you a sheet of paper, and if you're not too careful, you might not even be able to tell the land where specifically the person is supposed to be mining. A typical example is the situation of Akonta Mining Limited, who have a lease around Samaraboy, outside the Nimere Tunnel Forest Reserve, and currently now find themselves mining within the Nimere Tunnel Forest Reserve, completely an illegality. And so I believe that if we did this, it would help. But you see, we need to go, the transparency needs to go beyond just the chief and the MCE. It needs to be put at a place where everybody would know. So that, for example, before these leases are granted, the local radio stations in there should be able to announce it, so that if anybody has any other rights to the land that we're talking about, the people get to know, and so that there's involvement. All of this should be put on a website. I should be able to go on the website and find out who owns, these licenses and what are the details of it. And so, because you see, these resources are held in trust by the government, by the president on our behalf, there should be a lot of transparency in it, and nothing should be shrouded in any iota of secrecy. So that if you take, for example, some of the community mines that we have, for example, I should be able to know who is behind it. So in the same way, if it's a small scale mine, if it's a large scale mine, the indigents in the community, the citizens, need to know who is behind it, and make it very transparent, as transparently as possible, so that people of influence don't just hide behind that and then perpetuate the challenges that we're seeing.
Now, the sector minister also talks about the talk of prosecutions over mining in the Tunnel Nimere Forest being premature. Says the justice rule should be allowed to find its full course, even as we navigate through these challenges. Do you think these comments are in order, or they are out of order?
Oh, completely out of order. Completely out of order. So what again? You have let's go back and read the sequence of events. You have the Minister of Lands and Natural Resources himself stating that Akonta mines were, mining illegally in the forest reserve, and asking the Forestry Commission to stop them. So it means that they are mining within the Tunnel Nimere Reserve. We have the situation where the people of Samaraboy, there was a standoff between them and the Akonta Mining Limited, the company, because they wanted to take equipment into the forest reserve. Then on the 3rd of October, you had the Minerals Commission issuing a statement and saying that for the avoidance of doubt, Akonta mines, do not have any lease or permit to be mining in the Nimere Forest Reserve. You also have the situation where one of the deputy ministers have had to go into the forest reserve and have gone to burn, equipment and houses of Akonta Mining. So the fact that Akonta Mining was mining within the Nimere Forest Reserve is not in dispute. The fact that Akonta Mining did not have a permit to mine is not in dispute. These two elements sin on the Minerals and Mining Act. So at this particular stage, who should be doing investigation? There should be an arrest of all those who are involved in Akonta Mine. And the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, we've done research at the offices of the Office of the Registrar of Companies, and we know for a fact that Akonta Mines is owned by Bernard Boesiakun and then Kwame Entry, and the old directors are Bernard Entry Boesiakun, and we have seen documents that have been signed by Bernard Entry Boesiakun, stating that he is the chief executive officer of this particular company. So in terms of the ingredients involved in this, in terms of the evidence that is available, it doesn't lie in any other person apart from the police to cause the arrest of the alter egos of these particular companies and begin to do definitely the investigations into it and seek to prosecute. And we all know that justice delayed is justice denied. And so I don't know what again, so who is the minister asking to be investigating this case, in this particular situation? And unfortunately for, everybody in this situation, evidence abound. There is work that has been done by an investigative reporter that situates Akonta mining in the Nimere Forest Reserve. So yes, nobody's saying investigation should not be happening, but if it was Kenneth Ashigbe who had done this by now, the police would have arrested me. So why is it that when it is the chairperson of the MPP in the stronghold of the MPP, for that particular one, we're beginning to see all of these things happening? Well, the steering committee of the Media Coalition Against Galamsey, we are serving notice that we are definitely going to be petitioning the IGP, we're going to be petitioning the Attorney General, we're going to be petitioning the Director of CID, we're going to be petitioning the Office of Special Prosecutor. And since the President says he wanted evidence, we would also copy those petitions to him as well, and we would provide evidence. And the evidence definitely would be the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the Regulator, Minerals Commission, and then also a lot of the footage that is in the open in terms of the media, investigative reports that have been done, that's including drone footages that situates Akonta Mining, and definitely the police in Samabwe, what the altercation they had to get involved in, when the people of Samabwe were preventing them from going into the mine. Were they going there to go and pluck mushrooms or go and catch snails?
Okay, while we're on the point of the prosecutions and legal decisions, we are also aware that the concern over the representation given by Mr. Freddie Blade, the former national chairman of the MPP, for some of the accused illegal miners who are foreign nationals has raised quite a storm. Today the sector minister had reason to say something about that, mentioned that Mr. Freddie Blade's firm's defense of accused illegal miners could fuel conspiracy theories. But for you, are you surprised that the party in question, which has brought this administration into government, has not given a clear line of communication on this matter and the position relative to this fight against illegal mining and legal representation by persons who are politically exposed?
Well, you see, the issue of Mr. Freddie Blade and his law firm in terms of this particular case, legally, Mr. Freddie Blade's law firm has done nothing wrong. Every criminal, suspected criminal, has a right to representation, and sometimes you even find suspected criminals go to court, and the judge would appoint a lawyer for them. So ordinarily, Mr. Freddie Blade would not have done anything wrong. But the point that has to be made is that Mr. Freddie Blade himself is a friend of the president. Mr. Freddie Blade himself is a former chairperson of the MP, the ruling government, the MPP. Mr. Freddie Blade, in a few months past, used to sit in cabinet, and so that is the influence and the power that he brings. And also the fact that our current Attorney General has worked with Mr. Freddie Blay before. So I'm pretty sure that these four suspects, when they were choosing a law firm, they were not oblivious to all of this fact. So you definitely have this risk that is there, and you need to look at that. And the fact that you are in a situation where currently at Daboase water works on the Pra, you have a situation where your water is 2,634 NTUs, way beyond the 5 NTUs that the WHO says that you could treat water for consumption. So you are in a crisis. So when you're in a crisis, in terms of crisis management, in terms of rallying all your people together, you want to all be singing, moving in the same direction. So this perception issues, and I agree with the minister that a lot of conspiracy theories would abound, and it just muddies the water so far as the whole issue of political mining and political influence peddling, so far as this particular the fight against illegal mining is concerned. So if I were to be advising the MPP or Mr. Freddie Blay or the current government, I would have said, this is a case that maybe you should not take, but well, be that it may, he's taking it. So for me, I think that critically for the media who also are involved in this particular fight is that there is a risk that currently is staring us in the face of somebody of influence, and so how do we mitigate the risk? Because legally, that is his right to do, but well, people would make their decisions, people would do their speculations. So what the media, I think, need to do is to train their eyes on the court case and ensure that on a constant basis we are following this case. So that the situation that happened in Tapa in 2018, when a judge called Mr. Quest, found 4 Chinese guilty, but gave them the minimum sentence that is due a Ghanaian, does not happen. But then also we should also be happy that at least we've seen a judge in the beginning of this case who have remanded these people because of the fact that they are flight risk. People who were deported and came in and we didn't know. And that's a good thing that has been done. So at least that also is happening. The Attorney General has also demonstrated the will to be able to deal with it. So the media should focus on this to ensure that the right things are being done.
All right. You're watching State of Affairs here on GHOne Television. I'm Franz Abantona. We're discussing the matter of Ghana's fight against illegal mining. My guest, Dr. Peter Chum, lecturer at the Public Health School at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Dr. Kenneth Ashigwe, convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining. We're also joined via Zoom by Dr. Vladimir Ntridan, so the Dean at the Ghana Armed Forces Command College. We'll go for a short break now. When we return, we'll pick your thoughts as well on beyond the structural decision that we are seeing taken. What are the big decisions that we are yet to take, and what will it take for us to get it done? You're watching State of Affairs. Stay with us.
GHOne TV, your best experience. GHOne TV, your best experience. GHOne TV, your best experience. GH1 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 TV, your best experience.
Thanks for staying with us. You're watching State of Affairs here on GH1 Television. I'm Francis. And tonight we're talking about the fight against illegal mining and whether we're getting it right. My guest tonight, Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, the Dean of the Ghana Armed Forces Command College, Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, he is the convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, and Dr. Peter Chum, lecturer at the Public Health School at GHOne University. Dr. Vladimir Chidanso, let me bring you in at this point. We've seen a lot of action. We've heard the minister today talk about some key decisions, new licensing regime, also prosecutions for those engaged in illegal mining. What are the outstanding big decisions we must take in really winning the fight against illegal mining?
Thank you for having me for this very important discussion. Personally, for me, I don't think there are any more decisions to be taken. There is enough on the ground to be able to stop Galamsey if we have the political will and we as citizens are ready to go ahead and stop this menace. The point is this, that it is the structural inadequacies that have created these inconveniences for us. Structure in the sense that we allowed the phenomenon to fester to the extent that it has created its own subsystem. It's a subsystem which is rather dictating to the system. Galamsey is now funding everything in the country. Galamsey is now politics. Galamsey is anything from the perception of DCEs and MMDCEs involvement, chiefs involvement, to funding political activities and everything in the country, from lawyers to everything. So when you allow such a system to fester and create a subsystem, it becomes difficult to now find a way of fighting it. And that is where we are right now. I have suggested that the only way we can stop this thing fully is to stop everything about mining except deep shaft mining. Is there any organization that gives concessions in this country? Yes. Let that organization be disbanded for the time being. For 5 years, let us say no small-scale mining for 5 years. And let's see what will become of our waters and our rivers and what will become of mining generally in this country. And then the regulatory bodies, let us find a way of retooling them. As I said, we have a subsystem. So even if you send the soldiers, I saw some video and I regretted the way things went, that these soldiers rather went to sort of keep watch for the mining to go on. It's very, 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 very sad. So seriously speaking, if we can have a halt to everything, then we start afresh. Because it's very annoying to hear that concessions are given where even the township is sitting on the other people's concessions. Schools, hospitals are sitting on concessions. So we give the concessions and we monitor them, what type of mining is going on. Now when we send people to go and monitor, who monitors the monitor? And that has become a big problem, the politicization and everything. So I believe that one big thing that is left is to halt the mining altogether for about 5 years, and let's see how our rivers will come back. Let's see how the structure and the system will change.
Doc, on the point of the halting, we've seen it before. In fact, at the start of the fight in 2017, there was a halt for some period of time. When the halt stopped, things reverted, and they reverted at a very, very bad pace. So halting it for 5 years, will there not be bigger consequences? Why not review the people we're sending to act on our behalf in protecting our lands and water bodies, and also putting leadership at the center and punishing them when they go wrong?
That's exactly what I was saying, that halting for 5 years, you restructure, you re-strategize. And by the time you are restarting, there are new rules, new regulations, new persons, new personalities, new structures, and that will save the country. 5 years, I believe, when we have halted everything, the rivers will come back. You know, new regulations, new systems, new structures, new personalities, and things will change.
Okay, but what about those who have been seen clearly on camera destroying our water bodies? I make reference to the latest documentary by GHOneNews where they cite the owner of Akonta Mining, who is the Ashanti Regional chairman of the MPP, Chairman Wontumi, being behind the mining of gold near a major water body and in the Tunnel Forest. Are you impressed by the action taken thus far in dealing with such a high public official?
Absolutely not. I'm not impressed at all. And as I'm saying, it is because it has become part of our system. It's a subsystem that is the canvas, that's the basis upon which we build everything. And therefore, if you really want to take it away, then the impression being given is very, very wrong, extremely wrong. It could be a chief, it could be a political guru or whatever it is. Can we for once, if presidents and prime ministers are being sent to jail elsewhere for things that they have done untoward, why can't we? I mean, chairman, and so what? Does he have to kill the whole of Ghana before we know he's doing something wrong? Polluting the whole water body that serves a whole range of people. Is there any law? And can the law be invoked? So for me, the law should not be any respecter of persons. Absolutely. Other than that, we would have a situation where since you can't touch them, they can touch you. So Chairman Wontumi or Chairman who, DC who or MC who, please, can we allow the law to take its own course? And let us demonstrate at least for once that whoever challenges the will of the people residing in the president has given a go-ahead for it to be halted, and somebody is challenging it, let the law take its own course. I'm not impressed.
Okay. Now with the new licensing regime that's been announced by the minister, the sector minister, chiefs will now play an active role in the sign-off for the mining licenses that will be issued. Is that a step in the right direction with the knowledge and the suspicion that some chiefs have been actively involved in illegal mining?
I do not think that is quite enough or that was needed at all. The chiefs can also compromise. But then, well, it could have been better if the chiefs are signatories to whatever licensing regime that is being brought. But I was thinking that we need more research, more technocratic approach to the whole issue of mining. Yes, Ghana is awash with lots of minerals, but then that doesn't mean we should just allow it to be mined in a way that destroys the very ecology that gives our lives. And so I strongly suspect that it's not inclusion of the chiefs as a variable that will change whatever it is. Have we seen exactly what is going on and why is it festering? Are the chiefs the only key to it? If they are, I'll have no problem. But I doubt if they are. They are human beings like we are. And if the money is going around and they are being built better palaces and whatnot, who knows how far they can also go. I strongly suspect that that is not the biggest variable we need in trying to halt Galamsey.
On the matter of Mr. Freddie Blay and his representation of persons who are accused of illegal mining, what's your view on it? Is that a good decision taken by him and his law firm? And by extension, should persons who are politically exposed be made to stay off completely when it comes to the fight against illegal mining and their engagement in illegal mining?
I strongly suspect that where law is concerned, you cannot debar any lawyer from taking any case, no matter what. It could be against a case against his own mother, and he'll be on the side of the opponent just because of the law. Law is the law is an as they call it. The point is that I would personally not blame Freddie Blay for taking up any case, because that's the work of a lawyer.
But what about principles and ethics?
Well, no, that is personal over here. Ethics is when you are taking up a case where morally you are involved one way or the other. But here is a case, and if you know you want to, because every law firm tries to add to law by trying to go into the case and help to help the client. And in helping the client, you are adding to law. So the point is this, that if you watch cases, O.J. Simpson, he went for the best, the biggest of lawyers who were part of the ruling government, kind of. He went for the best of lawyers, and the lawyers were ready to take up the case. It's a very sophisticated case. If they want the case, it goes to help their firm. So normally what I know is that law firms don't look at what the case is, politically or whatever it is. They look at how they can use all technicalities under their sleeves to be able to come through. Let's get a case, for example, where our friends, the Gans, were looking for some lands during President Kufuor's time. One of their lawyers was the late former Speaker of Parliament,
Peter Alajete.
Alajete. Can you imagine that a government sitting in power and the person who had once upon a time being Speaker of Parliament was the lawyer for the Gans? And he said, what do you say? The point is this, that where law is concerned, I have seen several such cases, cocaine cases, and you see the best of lawyers going for those cases. Escobar and others all had the best of US lawyers on their behalf. So this is a question of, yes, we're talking about ethics and morality, but the question is that Blay didn't commit the crime. Blay has a criminal on hand and he's trying to defend the criminal, and it's a firm. So the firm may decide to take it. It may be partnership. He's in partnership with other big lawyers, and I wouldn't put the blame there, but it's only when the way they handle it, the way they are in court, and the arguments they put to show that, they want to rather disturb the general effort. That is why I'll go against him. But personally, the little I know about law is that it doesn't respect that kind of morality.
Okay, my last question to all of you gentlemen will be this, and let me start with you, Dr. Peter Trim, briefly. Should we bar politicians and all politically exposed persons from engaging in mining, and small-scale mining is the question I ask here, because we've seen instances where some who are engaged in it stray into illegal mining. Should we go in that direction as a first step in dealing with this matter? Briefly, then I'll have the thoughts of the other gentlemen.
Thank you. I think they are also Ghanaian, and there are some laws that govern the country. So we cannot just ban some group of people from doing some legal activity. if there should be any ban, it should be for the entire country, as the suggestion has already been made that maybe for 5 years. I am thinking that if you are going to ban it, we should ban it for maybe a period of 10 or 15 years, by which we might have even gotten some new generation. We could have created some job for the youth who are mad in engaging in galamsey. And maybe by that period, even that generation might have forgotten the concept of galamsey and secure our environment.
All right. Same question, Mr. Ashigbe. Should we ban politicians from engaging in mining, small-scale mining?
Well, I'm not too sure. I think I would agree with Doc that really it's not about being selective about, they going into mining. You basically, why would you want to do that? If anybody should mine, everybody should mine, they should be mining according to the laws. And I think this whole conversation about the fact that we are within a crisis, and so not only should we be banning small-scale mining for a while, all surface mining, we should be banning all surface mining, halting all of that for some time being, giving our water bodies the opportunity to breathe, having an opportunity to hold an all-inclusive stakeholder engagement, including the large-scale miners, small-scale miners, the galamseyers, the chiefs, academia, civil society, the media, everybody, the political parties, get all the political parties, especially the NDC and the MPP together in it, because some of the elements, as Prof. mentions, the fact that galamsey is funding political parties, and so that's the problem. So I think that's what we need to do, rather than just being selective and banning only politicians. All
right. In all fairness, may I ask Dr. Entry-Danso briefly, is that the way to go?
Yes. Strongly speaking, I go with the last speaker, Mr. Ashigbe. You can't be selective. I mean, they are Ghanaians. The Ghanaians and just decided. And how would you even identify who is a politician? Am I one? Are you one? So the point is that we can't be selective. We can't just pinpoint those who can mine and those who cannot mine. But like we were saying, surface mining, just ban it completely for 5 years. My brother was suggesting 10 years or more to get a new generation. Yes, within the period, we will see the water bodies come back. Within the period, we would have had new measures to contain galamsey and that kind of thing. So personally, it's not a question of banning. Maybe some selective laws, probably. If you're a politician and you went this way or that way, then the measure is different from the others and that kind of thing. That would be more acceptable. More punitive measures against the politicians who know and they do. The chiefs who know and they do. More punitive measures, something like that. I'll be more selective when it comes to the punishment, rather than, because if a politician hires about 100 people, poor people in the village, doing the damage for him, the punishment we give to the villager should not be the same punishment given to the one who owns the mines and who got the license for it. Yes.
All right.
That's why I'll be more selective.
And I thank you very much for your thoughts tonight, Dr. Vladimir Entry-Danso, Dean at the Ghana Armed Forces Command College, also Dr. Kenneth Ashigbe, convener for the Media Coalition Against Illegal Mining, and Dr. Peter Chum, the lecturer at the School of Public Health at KNUST. It's a fight that as a nation we must all be on deck in dealing with. We thank you very much for watching tonight. I'm Francis, and thanks to my production team and to all of you. Good night.